If you are already paying for Dubsado for your one-to-one services, I need you to stop what you're doing and watch this video before you buy any other tool to sell your membership, your workshop, or even a digital product. Because I can guarantee that you probably didn't consider doing what I'm about to show you inside of Dubsado. Real quick, in case we haven't met, I'm Ashley, and I help service providers set up simple and supportive systems to help them get paid and run their businesses easier. In this video, I'm going to show you 3 unique ways that you probably aren't using Dubsado to sell a group program or membership, a paid masterclass or workshop, and even a digital product. And if you want to take a peek at what else is possible when your systems are simple and supportive, grab my free Choose Your Own Adventure goodie in the description so that you can see ways that you can launch easier, onboard faster, and deliver projects even faster. Now let's jump into the setup. Now I have a client that has a 12-month membership that, previously was using a couple of different tools to take payment. He was using Stripe payments at one time. He was using Circle at one time. He was using ThriveCart at one time, right? But none of them really gave him the control or the flexibility that he wanted over taking payments. So it's like, hey, how could we potentially use Dubsado? Now, for a lot of you guys that have memberships or group programs, you may have plans, right? You may have options for them to choose from. In this case, my client has a pay in full option with a few bonuses and then a 6-pay payment plan option as well. Everything on the website does its thing. It's selling the offer. And then here he allows them to link out or click out to the payment option that they want. So if they select to a pay in full, it actually opens up a public Dubsado proposal. So when I say public proposal, that is a link that can be shared literally with anyone, anywhere. Upon completion of this proposal, it will actually create a project inside of Dubsado. It'll take them right to their contract for review and signature, and then it'll take them right to their invoice to make payment, right? So the client is going through all 3 checkout steps that you would generally also still get inside of something like a ThriveCart. But instead of just a check the box of agreement or terms of acknowledgement, they're actually taken to their agreement, right? So they're getting the full terms of condition for this program and they're signing. When they sign this, Dubsado's going to send them a copy. They're going to get a copy of that to keep. And then before the client is fully onboarded or welcomed, Dubsado makes sure that, hey, you make payment, right? Now, once payment is made, a flurry of things can happen, right? Again, and this can be very specific and unique to your program and your membership. For my client, we have a Zap that triggers that does all of the back end things for them, right? So things like creating their record in their custom Airtable membership hub, right? Notifying him and his team inside of a ClickUp chat that, hey, Ashley just signed, you got a new Low Lift Club member, right? But then for the client, everything inside of Dubsado is client focused, right? So the client is going to receive their welcome email and, hey, here's what happens next, right? You're going to get invited to Circle. You're going to, make sure you take these steps. Hey, here's a link to your onboarding form, right? Dubsado can nurture a new member in your program or new member in your membership through that initial onboarding. And then Dubsado can connect to Zapier in order to do all of the internal things that you need to have happen, right? Adding them to your email list, recording their payment in your Airtable payment hub, whatever, right? But this allows his clients to, at any time, it could be in the middle of the night, click, sign up, pay, and be onboarded using a public proposal. It protects him via a contract, and they are making their payment or their invoice installments payment, right? Their 6 payments, all natively inside of Dubsado, linked out from his website, and you don't have to worry about anything else. Now, this option might actually surprise people a little bit, but this client wanted to run a workshop, a paid workshop, and didn't want to have to set up a new checkout of some kind. Because I don't know if you guys are familiar with Stripe, but usually once you connect your Stripe to a new platform, it creates a new sub account. So this client already was using Dubsado for their one-to-one services and said, hey, how can I use Dubsado for my workshop, right? I have an upcoming workshop and I just want people to pay. I got the sales page built out just how I want it. And so instead of embedding or linking out to a form, we actually embedded it, right? And so you can add, the custom CSS, you can add the flair to this if you wanted to allow someone to check out directly on your website. Again, if you were using a ThriveCart, a Sam card, a Stripe link, whatever, it's gonna look and feel very similar. But with Dubsado, you can actually add your own custom CSS, right? You can style the buttons if you wanted to. You can change the verbiage on the buttons. You can style the actual fields if you wanted a border at the bottom, or you wanted these to be fully square or rounded, right? You can add CSS to completely make this yours. So this is a public proposal also, but it's embedded, right? So we've pulled out or stripped out all of the additional info at the top. And then for here, it's just the checkout piece, right? There is a package on here that is pre-selected. We don't need a button because we already know this is what they want to buy. So this is embedded here, and it allows the client to enter in their information, enter in their business name. How did you hear about me? Click save my seat, and it's going to take me right to my invoice to pay in full. With the Dubsado workflow, you can then nurture those clients from there, right? Maybe after someone signs up for your workshop or paid masterclass, you want to send an intake form and capture some information, right? Yes, you can use the Dubsado form to capture that. You can use an Airtable form, a Google form, a Tally form, right? Whatever. You have the Dubsado workflow built in a way so that, hey, when payment is in full for this workshop, send them this welcome email, okay? Dubsado just rolled out a new feature at the time of this video for bulk emails. Now, if you are using Dubsado for a workshop, an event, a masterclass, I would recommend you could potentially leverage the bulk email feature to send reminders, right? You could use it to, hey, I am doing a special giveaway. If you invite one other person, if you bring a friend, you could earn a free 1-hour call with me, right? Now, of course, Dubsado is not an email marketing tool, right? You can have a dedicated kit or something like that in order to send any other future emails, right? But maybe, hey, I just want to quickly send out something to everybody. I can use this bulk email feature. I can see everyone that has paid for the workshop, that has an active project for the workshop. Click and send off an email to remind them, to, encourage them to bring a friend, let them know, hey, workshop's happening tomorrow, here's the live link, whatever, right? This is an option for you. Another option could be using a scheduler and then a proposal link together. So with the scheduler, you can turn on an invoice and require payment for that scheduler to be completed, right? And you can make it so that even as multiple people join, it doesn't block off or stop or, not allow people to pay. So you can, very similar to this, instead, maybe you're hosting multiple workshops or multiple events or mini sessions or whatever. You can embed a scheduler, allow people to pick a date, be taken right to a form, enter in their information, be taken right to an invoice to pay in full. At that point, they're welcomed, they're onboarded all inside of Dubsado. So you didn't have to incorporate another tool. You didn't have to pay for something else in order to get this job done. They pay, they immediately get confirmation. You can include the event link. You can deliver it later if you want more control. But this is going to give you the option to not just sell one-to-one services, but sell one-to-many services using Dubsado. Now, you're probably seeing a trend, right? Dubsado is going to allow you to use public proposals as a standalone link or as an embed to sell whatever the hell you want to sell. In this case, I really want to show you another way or a unique way that I've decided to use a public proposal and actually embed it on a blog. So yes, this is a blog all about a, client portal tool that I love and I use. Something that I do is actually set up this client portal for people. So as folks find this blog, I have a little section down here of, hey, do you want me to set this up for you? If so, you can either click here or complete the form. All of this is a Dubsado form. Everything below click here is a Dubsado form. So I'm showcasing again what the offer is. I have a pre-selected package. I'm letting them know what happens. And then this is the form that they would fill out. they acknowledge, they see the total, and they can click here. By clicking here, they're taken right to their agreement and right to their invoice to make payment in full. My Dubsado workflow then onboards them and lets them know, hey, you're going to get access to your client portal in a second. Hey, if you have any questions, here's a link to my client experience guide. All of this is happening. They're being welcomed. I don't have to take any additional action, right? I don't have to worry about if it's middle of the night and somebody finds this blog at 2 a.m. and decides that they want to pay, they can get onboarded immediately, right? They're not waiting on me to wake up and get started and get back to my computer the next day. All of this is happening natively within Dubsado. I didn't have to pay for another tool. I didn't have to use another tool if I didn't want to, right? After they pay, I do have Zapier integrated to kick in to do all the other things, right? Setting up their client portal automatically, notifying me and my team that someone just paid, right? Adding them to my Airtable hub for tracking purposes, right? But this is embedded in a blog. Anybody anywhere can go access this link. If somebody asks about this service, actually had somebody ask me the other day, I just sent them the blog link. It's like, hey, it's at the bottom of the blog. You can go check out. I fully understand that there are benefits of other tools, other checkouts, kind of like a ThriveCart, for example, for recurring payment. At the time of this video, Dubsado does not allow you to do recurring payments when completing a proposal, right? So you can have a proposal with a set payment installment, so pay in full versus 5 pay or 6 pay, but you cannot say, hey, when you complete this proposal, you're going to start a recurring invoice that continues on for forever. That does not exist at the time of this video, but hint, hint, nudge, nudge, wink, wink, Dubsado. The girlies want it, right? But if you are like me, ThriveCart's form builder is not the best, right? It's not the most ideal when you are trying to create a new offer, get something out there in the mix really quickly. Now, yes, there are a couple service providers that I highly recommend when it comes to, fully designing a beautiful ThriveCart checkout page, but I don't always want to do that, especially if I'm testing an offer, right? So this is a Dubsado form, and this is a proposal that I'm using kind of as a sales page, right? Yes, I could have added this to my website, but maybe I don't know if I'm going to keep this offer, right? Or maybe I didn't want to spend the time building it on my website because I'm not a website builder, right? But I was able to throw this form together in 20 minutes, and I actually embedded a ThriveCart checkout on it. So this is a form that I've actually attached to a private project. And then I can share this link with everybody. So the difference is this is not a public proposal. So I'm not expecting anyone to complete this actual form, but I am wanting everybody to see kind of the flow of like, hey, here's what you get, here's what's not included. Again, this is a Dubsado form, right? I've added some little oomph to it from a coding perspective so that they can see what it is, who it's for, what the investment is. And then I embedded a ThriveCart checkout, right? So the ThriveCart checkout is here. They can start their payment. And if I'm being honest, it took me longer to make this ThriveCart embed than it did for me to make this Dubsado form, okay? They're going to say, hey, here's how it works, right? So whereas on the other examples, I was using a form for them to enter in their information. They hit submit, they're taken to a contract, they're taken to an invoice. This example, I'm using this form pretty much as a landing page or as a sales page, right? So I've used code to remove the submit button. I've used code to remove the tabs for proposal, contract, invoice at the top. Instead, this is just a landing page. I've created my own little short link that I can grab and share this with, potential clients or past clients anytime I want. And then this is embedded ThriveCart checkout here. So once they complete it, it starts the recurring payments inside of ThriveCart. Again, after that, all of the additional interactions or integrations from a Zapier perspective is happening on the ThriveCart side, but I'm using the Dubsado form as a unique way to get my offer out there and use this as a landing page if, maybe you don't want to put this on your website. Maybe you don't have a website yet, but this is a cool and unique way to do something like this. Now, if watching this made you realize, okay, I'm definitely not using my systems to their full capacity, make sure you go grab my Choose Your Own Adventure freebie in the description, because you'll probably get a few more ideas. You will get a peek of what else is possible when your systems are simple and they're supported, and you can choose the path that fits what you need most right now. Tell me in the comments which scenario you're setting up next using Dubsado, what scenario that you're like, hey, okay, I'm thinking about doing this. Ashley, is this possible? And I will make sure to comment and respond. Also, make sure you like and subscribe for more practical systems tips, and I will see you in the next one.